Hi guys, this what you see is a car alternator value from an Ascent car. Now the rating of this alternator is 13.5 volts 90 amperes value. Now guys, the alternators are usually high RPM ranging from 2000 to 5000 RPMs. So in this video what I'm going to do is perform a small trick with which the RPM will reduce considerably. I personally call that technique manual forced voltage injection. Step 1. Removing the back cover. Back cover removed. What I'm going to tell you guys is very important before we proceed to the next part. So this part what you see is obviously for the brush. So there are two brushes feeding electricity to the slip rings of the rotor. That is obvious part. Okay, you see this green wire? I attached it manually to modify it in one of my previous videos, link for which will also be provided in the description. Now you see that there are two brushes and I have connected wire to only the lower case brush and not the upper case. That is because internally the upper case brush is directly connected to the body of the alternator as negative. We know that the body is negative and the longest terminal called the B is the main output positive. So this long terminal B is positive, body is negative, and the upper brush is also negative. So internally somehow this upper brush is in short circuit with the body of the alternator. So with that being clear, let's proceed to the next part. Now guys, the next part is that because the upper brush is connected to the body of the alternator, all I have to do is connect positive terminal to this part and use a 3.7 volts battery and connect the negative terminal to the body of the alternator, and this is going to excite the rotor winding of the alternator, which means the electromagnetic rotor inside is going to get excited if I connect the positive terminal. This one is positive. Connect the positive terminal like this and negative to this one. This is connected to the body of the alternator, so this is also negative. And there is a little spark that I can see but you cannot. So this is how the rotor will get excited. Okay, now guys, this what you see is a very old antique fan speed regulator. You see, so the reason I'm showing you this is because of its filament. Now guys, you see this filament, it is very useful. So let's cut it off. Now guys, this alternator that you see is a self-excited type, which means that the rotor automatically gets excited without any external input from the battery. Okay, so I am going to achieve that state with the help of this resistor. Okay, you see this positive wire that I'm manually connected to the lower brush. So what I will do is wound this on the positive wire and connect its other end to the positive long B terminal. So let's do that. So the positive main terminal, output terminal of the alternator has been electrically connected to the lower brush terminal feeding the rotor. Okay, now this alternator is in automatic self-excitation mode. Let me show you this first. And now all I have to do is run this and it is going to get automatically self-excited. But to show you that, I will have to connect a multimeter. So let's do that also. Taking the traditional old multimeter and pointing it towards 20 volts DC mode. Okay, these are the two terminals. Let's connect it to the alternator. Now guys, the multimeter will be connected to the main output terminals of the alternator. And which are the main output terminals? Body being the negative and long terminal being the positive. Positive means red, connected to the red terminal. Done. Negative means black, will be connected to this terminal or any other part. I will connect it to this. Although it is not clearly visible, so let's connect it to this. Now the alternator has been electrically connected to the multimeter. Okay, so guys, now comes the rope rotation test, and this is the rope roll. Let's wound the thread on the pulley of the alternator. Now guys, the thing with this alternator is that it is not going to generate anything as long as the RPM is slow. So let's do that first. Guys, keep watching the multimeter screen. Okay, go. It is still slow. Now let's give it another try. Once more, guys. So guys, what we can learn from this is that it is not possible to attain self-excitation by human hand rotation. Although I did achieve this self-excitation in one of my previous projects. So guys, that was the first method of achieving self-excitation, which was not possible to achieve with human hands. So let's get to the second method. So in this, let's remove this resistive wire, not needed anymore. And for this step, I'm going to need some jumper cables, okay, available on Banggood's, link is in the description. One 3.7 volts lithium ion battery and two neodymium magnets, very strong. Although if you don't have these strong ones, you can also use a little weaker ones. They are also going to work too. So guys, here I'm going to use the black and red cables from all of these. Okay, this one is black. Yeah, black is out. And red, which is out also. And I have to remove all these. After which, I have to take the battery and place one magnet, neodymium magnet, on the positive side, which is this one. Okay, the positive. That being done, let's proceed to the negative. Other magnet on the negative. Now this is also done. Okay, measure the battery voltage pointing towards 20 volts DC mode to make sure that it is charged, plus and minus, and you can see that it is charged, showing 3.86 volts DC. Pretty good charged, in fact. Now take the jumper cables, both red and black. Remove the first one's insulation cover, okay, as well as the second one, only on one side, and then stick it black to negative and red to positive. Okay, this side is negative, black is negative, so yeah, connected, and here this positive connected. Now there should be voltage on these two terminals, and yes, it is. Okay, yeah, negative has also been connected. Now the multimeter is only going to measure the output of the alternator. So now comes the part of connecting the battery to the alternator electrically. So black, you already know, is the negative, which will be connected to the body of the alternator. Okay, black has been connected, negative, negative, and positive will be connected to this green terminal. But before I connect it, I must tell you that this is an uncontrolled forced voltage injection method. Uncontrolled, which is very important. So let's connect that. There will be a little spark, I guess, but I'm not able to see it here because it is very bright. Now let's wound the thread on the shaft of this alternator and see some voltage reflected. Give it a turn. Yeah, you see the voltage is being generated pretty good, 2 volts, 3 volts and all. Let's run it with rope rotation test. Keep watching the screen, guys. go. You saw somewhere around 8 volts. Now the disadvantage is that when the alternator starts generating electricity, it will feed 12 volts to this 3.7 volts battery pack, which is not needed at all. The battery will get damaged and it will charge to unwanted values. So to tackle that situation, I have found a solution: diode. Okay, 6 amperes diode is what I'm going to use to change this into an auto disconnect excitation. So at the start, the battery is going to feed the rotor winding of this alternator some voltage, but as soon as this alternator gains voltage, the generated voltage more than the voltage of the battery itself, the diode will act as an open switch with no current flowing to the battery and all of it flowing to the rotor itself. Okay, so for that I will have to make 2 changes. So the first is placing the diode. The black portion, not the silver one, is positive for the diode. So positive from the battery will be connected to the positive of the diode and negative will be connected to the green terminal. Okay, connected. Okay, now comes the self excitation part, in which I'm going to use this resistance wire again, because I have to feed the rotor winding after all. Okay, so let's do that also. You can see some voltage on the multimeter screen. That's the voltage being fed to the rotor winding and decreasing because the battery is getting discharged. Okay, keep watching the display screen, guys. Okay, yeah, you saw once again. Now guys, for final testing this third method, let's connect some load to it. So guys, here I'm going to use this 12 volts 60 watts bulb, which means it's going to consume 5 amperes. To separate the terminals from touching each other. Battery connection, negative to negative, done. Positive to diode positive, done. Oh, I have to remove this first. I haven't connected multimeter, so yeah, let's check it without the multimeter. Too many connections now. Rope winding. Keep watching the bulb. It is not going to glow very bright, first of all because it's going to be hand rotation, and second, I am outside in the lawn, so it is very bright over here. Okay, yeah, you saw it worked. Now guys, achieving the self excitation mode is much more easier. Once again. Now guys, although this is the final method, I still have not created the flow of electricity from the alternator to the battery for charging it at the same time when the alternator is running. So I have to charge the battery also, which is a little bit electronic circuitry type. I will have to make a feedback circuit with a step down voltage conversion that is required to charge a 3.7 volts battery. So that we'll see in one of my upcoming videos. Now guys, I also have to measure the amps that this alternator is generating, pointing the meter towards 10 amperes mode. Although the alternator is 90 amps, but still I'm going to do that. Terminals have been connected. Now remember guys, this multimeter can measure current only up to 10 amps, after which, although it might show measurement, but the fuse might just open because of reaching the maximum limits. So let's try the current measurement anyways. Keep watching the display screen, guys. Okay, 8 amperes. Now let's go a little hard on it. Okay, 9.5 amperes. Let's disconnect it. So that was the current measurement for the alternator. Although it is 90 amperes, but it is not a possibility to produce high amps with hand cranking. Okay, so guys, that was all about today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Now the next part will be coming soon, related to the self-excitation and automatic battery charging along with the running of alternator. So stay connected, subscribe and hit that bell icon, and I'll see you soon.